I'm going to need to welcome you all to the ultimate, greatest, most singular movie franchise tier list ranking you have ever seen. Below me, I have over 100 movie franchises that I'm going to separate into the following tiers based on quality alone. S tier, the best, the top dogs, the best of the best. Great, amazing. Lovely stuff. Okay, decent, good. Whatever, down the middle. Oh dear, not great. Simply woeful. I'm talking bottom of the barrel. And haven't seen, for the very few, I might add, that I have not seen or have not seen enough of. But I'm not going to waste your time today because we have got a lot to go on with. There are a lot of movie franchises to rank. Let's get into it. Alright, fellas, we are going to be kicking this off with the Muppets movie. Okay. Or the Muppets franchise, should I say. Now, the Muppets, as a collective, are a pretty cool group of guys. But I would say they have some very top-tier films in different regions. You've got Christmas Carol, one of the greatest Christmas films. I think the Muppets are very, very good. There's some duds here and there. There's some Muppets films that aren't as good. The original Muppets movie not being one of them. That is fantastic. I think Muppets is a cert for lovely stuff. We then have Blade, the Blade Trilogy. Tricky one, in my opinion. Seen as though Blade 1, good stuff. Blade 2, good stuff. Blade 3, not so much. Very much a downward trajectory after the first. I'm going to say Blade 3, Blade Trilogy can still go in okay because I think the first two are strong. With Godzilla, I mean, I don't know if this means just the new gen Hollywood Godzilla or like every Godzilla. Because if it's every Godzilla, this separates things. I'm going to count it as the new gen Godzilla films, for which would be in whatever. They're there, they're there. It's whatever. The first one's kind of cool. Beethoven. I don't know. Rush Hour. Okay, Rush Hour is an interesting one we can talk about. I think the comedic duo still stands up. There's some cool action set pieces. There's some cool moments. I think Rush Hour, it's like in terms of quality in the three films, it's probably above Blade, but just as far as like a kind of buddy, I think it's okay. Now we have Triple X. Yeah, cool. Now we have Vacation. I don't even know what that is. Haven't seen. Okay, Men in Black is next. Men in Black. Now, let's just discount for a second that recent one they did with Chris Hemsworth that was terrible. Not that recent now, but how did they manage to make a Men in Black film boring? Quite impressive. But the first three, really good stuff, especially 1 and 3, 2 being good as well. I think Men in Black is a cert to sit right up there with the Muppets in lovely stuff. We now have The Matrix. We have The Matrix. I am a man who has recently bought a house in the local area. I am a man who considers the first Matrix, The Matrix, to be, contrary to popular opinion, joking, one of the greatest films of all time. Obviously, most people do. But I also think 2 and 3 are great as well. Now, I think all the Matrix films are good. It's probably going to miss out on S for me, but I think Matrix is like the top end of great. The top end of great. Okay, now we have Star Trek. Now, assuming this is just simply all the films, I'm, going to say, because this is a film franchise ranking. I think J.J. Abrams ones are cool. I like First Contact. I think most of Star Trek are actually pretty good fun. Very much dad vibes, dad sci-fi vibes. A lot of mythology, a lot to get into, a lot of characters to learn. But I think Star Trek's lovely stuff. I really do. Now we have Friday. I think the first Friday is actually really good as far as like comedic elements go, I think it was quite revolutionary as well in terms of like the modern day comedy. I think Ice Cube is great in it. Friday's a funny one because it's like, I don't think the other ones are that good. I'll go okay. I'll go like the bottom end of okay. It's definitely not whatever because I enjoy them, especially the first one. But it's not higher than that. It's not these three territories, is it? All right, now we have The Man with No Name, i.e. Sergio Leone's Dollars Trilogy. So we have Good, Bad, and the Ugly for a few dollars more and A Fistful of Dollars. I mean, it's obvious this is going to be high, but how high is the question? I think Good, Bad, and the Ugly is like a generational film, as do most people. I think for a few dollars more is good, and a few dollars more is really good. Fistful of Dollars is good film as well. The score, I think Morricone just is one of the true genius composers. As far as like westerns go, they are kind of the staple of the genre as well, along with Sergio Leone's other film, Once Upon a Time in the West. Then you obviously got John Ford and Howard Hawks' films. But I think the Man with No Name trilogy has to be great. I'd probably put it just below The Matrix, to be honest, just below The Matrix, but it's still like that level, it's that level. And now we have Fantastic Four, which is an interesting one. I know a lot of people actually really enjoy the original Fantastic Four now. I was always pretty whatever on it. I think it's fine. I think the one they did with like Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan was just horrific, as do most people. I'm going to put Fantastic Four in like whatever. I don't have particular, I don't hold particular vitriol or hatred for them, but I think they're there, Okay, now we have Cheech and Chong. I haven't seen these films in such a long time. I wouldn't even know. Let's go with haven't seen. I don't know. All right, Dumb and Dumber's next. Dumb and Dumber's interesting. I actually think the first Dumb and Dumber is really, really good. I think Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey, probably especially Jeff Daniels, who I don't think actually gets the credit he deserves for his comedic roles like Jim Carrey does. But I think that they did like that kind of reunion sequel where they got kind of younger actors, but it was a prequel. Awful. Sort of like the lowest of the low in terms of film. But Dumb and Dumber, like the first two are pretty good. I'm going to go okay, even though like that one is so bad. I think okay works for Dumb and Dumber. Pitch Perfect is next. You know what? Pitch Perfect, the first one, I'm like fine with. I think it's cool. But everything else is a whatever. It's a whatever. High School Musical. Okay, High School Musical is next. High School Musical is one of those where it's like, you got to get your head in the game. That song, actually, like, I think about quite a lot. High School Musical, I haven't seen in years, but I have seen all of them. I think the first one, like, stands as being a pretty, like, decent, silly sort of, but earnest school musical. High School Musical, I'm gonna go whatever. Like, I'm not high on it. It's probably higher than Pitch Perfect, to be honest. I probably enjoy High School Musical 1 more than Pitch Perfect. American Pie. Okay, American Pie is a really interesting one. Now, here's the thing, guys. Do we count all the weird spin-offs they did? Like the Beta House and whatever they were called? Because if we do, that brings it down drastically. But if we're going off 1, great. 2, good. 3, good. I would even say The Reunion, by the way, is good. American Pie Wedding, I think the solid line of the remaining cast, rather than just like Jim's dad, who's in a few of the standalones. But if we're considering the standalones in this, it's going to be okay. The top end of okay, but because I think that the first few are like monumental, raunchy comedies. It's just the others let them down so much. It's going to have to be there. I now have Insidious. Obviously, Insidious, like The Red Door coming out. I think it was last year or the year before now. And there's another film to come. I think Insidious is a tricky one because I only think there's actually like 2 decent films. The first one being really good. The second being okay as well. And then it kind of has this downward trajectory from there. I'm actually alone in that I don't think any of them are particularly bad, but just kind of running that average, run-of-the-mill zone. I think Insidious, for me, is like, again, sort of okay, because I think the first one kind of carries it to that mantra. but I think the rest of them really let it down. So we're going to go okay with Insidious, and that's fair. And now we have RoboCop. I think RoboCop's the first one is really good. They did that one back in 2016 or something that was just bizarre. I think that the first two I remember being really good, especially the first one. I think RoboCop, I'll probably have it lower than most people, like in the initial first one. But I think it definitely starts to get an okay, probably kind of the higher end of okay as well. And now we have the Hannibal Lecter films, which I believe will probably include Michael Mann's Manhunter, or if not, it should. It definitely should. This is pretty high. Silence of the Lambs is like that kind of formative for most people crime film, for which it was for me as well. I think it's great. Hannibal and Red Dragon were okay of sorts. I think Hannibal's a bit more of a lackluster effort from Ridley himself, and Hannibal Rising was not great either. Now, if we're including Manhunter, which we are, because that is part of the parcel with Hannibal Lecter, I think it has to go high. I think it's very much that kind of great essence for mainly Manhunter and Silence of the Lambs alone. It's probably lower than The Man with No Name and The Matrix, but I think it's in the great, it's in the great discussion. That's what I'm going to say. Now we have Jaws, which is the most interesting on the list, given that I think Jaws is a film that had, as a franchise, has probably one of the biggest drop-offs ever of any franchise from first to second film and onwards. I think the second, third, and fourth are truly awful, including Jaws 2 as well, which I know a lot of people hold a lot of sentiment towards. But the first one is so good that you almost just can't I can't put it in okay, because I think Steven Spielberg's Jaws is fantastic, as do most of you. So I can't put it in just okay. It's going to have to go lovely stuff. But just given how bad the other films are in the franchise, it can't really be any higher than that, which is unfortunate, because they should have just kept it at Jaws and just ran with it, as a singular amazing film. And then we have Superman. Now, I don't know what this counts as. I don't know if it's every Superman film or just kind of the original ones, because if it is the originals, I think the first two are great. The original Superman is amazing. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Oh, Christopher Reeve, he is my Superman through and through. If we're going for the OG ones, a little bit of fall off after the first. It's still going to be lovely stuff. Kind of that, very much the first one is kind of one of the true great superhero movies. I'm going to go the highest then. I'm going to go just under Men in Black and lovely stuff. I think that's fair. Okay, now we have the Batman. Now, okay, so this is 1989 to 1997. So it helps it's on the poster. So obviously discounting Matt Reeves' The Batman and Nolan's trilogy. And obviously I'm assuming discounting the animated works of that era as well. So if we're going just off that, so we've got, Batman and Robin, Batman Forever, Batman, and Batman Returns. Returns being, I think, the best of the bunch. Although I do really like Batman Forever, which I think is from Schumacher, an actual sort of avant-garde comedy in the highest possible fashion, high concept, colourful, ridiculous. Batman and Robin, I'm not as huge on it, but I don't think it's bad like most people do. There's a back credit card, for God's sake. What are we doing, people? Hating on that. I think this is good. I think it's definitely a lovely stuff for me. I think it definitely Returns and Batman and maybe Batman Forever actually probably carry it. I think it's going to be kind of this era of lovely stuff, just behind the Muppets, because there's not that standout like the Muppets Christmas Carol, for God's sake. We have Hangover next, Hangover Trilogy. Hangover Trilogy is a tough one, because it's you know what, I'm going to put Fantastic Four and Oh Dear, because they can't get away with the other one. And yeah, the Hangover Trilogy is a tough one, because it's I think the first one is really good and funny, and I think the second one is good too, even though it carries over pretty much the identical story and narrative elements from the first, just in a slightly twisted fashion. But I still think it's almost equally as funny, and I do like it. The third one is not even a hangover per se. It just goes completely off the rails. But I still think it deserves kind of the highest end of okay, similar to American Pie, even though it fell off, probably not as high as American Pie. I actually could put higher than American. No. Yeah, I think it's there. I think the third one was whatever. The third one I think was bad. But the first two I like, even though the second one, it literally just steals the concepts from the original. All right, now we have... I do not know what that is. If anyone knows what that is, let me know, because I haven't seen it. I don't know what that is. Kung Fu Panda. There's an interesting one. First Kung Fu Panda I think is very good. Second one I think is good also, but there's a big step down from there for me, even though I do think the third one is still okay. Now, if it was just the trilogy or just even the first two, it would be pretty high. Like, it would be targeting lovely stuff. It probably still has to be. I think Kung Fu Panda is like the highest end. The first two are good though. You know what? I like Kung Fu Panda. I like the first two. I'm going to put it lowest end of lovely stuff. I think that's very fair. Karate Kid we have next. I don't know if this is counting like the Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan one. I know there's a new one coming out as well, which I probably won't watch. If it is, probably down slightly. But the originals are cool. The originals are okay. Where does it go? I think Karate Kid's like a... It's okay. You know, it's there. I think that's fair. It's okay. What we got next? John Wick. Okay. John Wick 1, good. John Wick 2, just okay for me. John Wick 3, really good. Maybe the best of the four. And John Wick 4, really good as well. This is a tricky one. Very consistent, even though I don't think everyone is as good as the other. Very consistent, has to be said. It's great. It's the lowest end of great because I don't think it has the heights of like Silence of the Lambs, for example, or The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, or The Matrix. But I think it has to go in the great. You know, John Wick's, yeah, they're great films. I like them a lot. Purge films. The Purge films. Okay. Man, it's tricky because like there's Purge Anarchy, which I actually think is quite good, and I actually had a pretty good time with. And maybe Election Year 1 is like serviceable, average but serviceable. But like the first one, the first Purge, that recent one they did, I think all of them are like catastrophically awful. Not even for their lazy commentary. I just think they're really poorly made. A lot of them shot like mediocre TV shows. It's going to be oh dear, to be honest. It's going to be whatever, because there is a good one. It's going to be the highest end of whatever, because I think there is a good one amid the terribleness, but it's going to be the higher end of whatever. It's not going higher than that. Alien. Here's an interesting one. There's a lot of conversations to be had about how kind of good the Alien franchise is and how much kind of the quality remains throughout. Now, there are a few that I don't particularly favor as highly. So, you know, you've got the likes of Alien 3, I think is just there as an average film. Resurrection, I think is just there as an average film as well. Again, not one that I love, but not one that I hate. I think Alien Romulus didn't do it for me at all. Maybe partially, but overall, I think there were more negatives than positives, or maybe around the same. Didn't particularly like it, didn't hate it. But then Alien, tremendous. Prometheus, tremendous. Covenant, tremendous. Aliens, not as high on as most of you might know, but still, you know, not a bad film by any means. It's going to be great for me. Now, because there are some lackluster moments, it's going to be the lowest end. But it's great. No, because John Wick doesn't have the heights that, like, you know, of like an Alien or an Alien Covenant, in my opinion. And neither does... this is tricky. And I think Hannibal has lows. I'm going to go here. Like, just below The Man With No Name. Even though, like, The Man With No Name was only 3 films, so it's kind of cheating. I think it's fair. I think that makes sense. Oh, no, does it? Yeah, consistency it does. You've got to consider the lowest, people. We've got to consider the lowest. What in the hell is that? I don't know. Get rid of it. Okay. Taken. They're just kind of there. Okay, because the first one's, like, pretty cool. The first one's pretty cool, so they're just kind of there. Just kind of there. Sorry if I should move. There's so many films on here, guys. We've got to maybe a bit smaller. I apologize. The Dark Knight. Okay, here we go, fellas. Here we go. The Dark Knight. Big business. Dark Knight trilogy. Batman Begins is like that gritty origin story. I think is really, really good. I actually really like Batman Begins. Same can be said for The Dark Knight, even though not the origin story part. I think Dark Knight is kind of a wonderful combination of that, like, absurd action with sort of criminalized political elements. I think the Dark Knight Rises for me is where it kind of messes it down. I think Dark Knight Rises is a little bit of a mess with good elements for sure, and probably more good than bad. I think it's a big letdown comparatively to the other two, but I do think the Dark Knight and Begins are both really good. This for me is great also, but like that lower end of it. Yeah, I think it's there. I think it's like just under these, but maybe like kind of around the John Wick era, or fashion. 50 Shades of Grey. I actually haven't seen 50 Shades of Grey, so it's going to go here. Shall I watch them? Let me know. Who knows? Riddick. I haven't seen them in years. Again. Rocky. Okay, here's an interesting one. So you've got like the Rocky films, and you've got the Creed films. The Creed films I actually think all are really good. But maybe second less so, but I still think it's good. Rocky 1 is fantastic. Rocky 2. Rocky. Really, really good consistency. I only think there's like one bad one, and that's the one we all know. But overall, I think they're really consistent films, considering how many they've made now. Considering they made like a complete separate entity with the Creed films. I think Rocky has to go great. I really think it does. Probably just above John Wick for me. Probably just above John Wick. Even though it has like a lower low, how many films they've made and how many great ones? Just above John Wick, I'm going to say. Honey, I Blew Up the Kids. Yeah, not for me. Oh dear. Not for me. The Santa Claus is funny because I've actually never seen Santa Claus films. But yeah, my American fellas be telling me that's great. So let me know. It's like a Christmas film. The Mummy films. Okay, so there's good ones here, but I'm gonna. Do I count like the original Mummy from like 1933, which is actually one of the lesser of the Universal monster films, I would argue. And am I gonna count 2016 or 17 or 18, whatever it was, Tom Cruise's Mummy, which was awful? Yeah, I am, because they're all considered. 1999 is great. Good time. I think okay, because the lows are abysmally low, but the highs are pretty high. Kind of around that, probably just above Insidious, I think is fair for the Mummy franchise. Just above Insidious. And now we have Predator. I'm probably on an island here, or at least with just a few people, that I think Prey was actually better than the original Predator. I know, hot take. And I think the new one will be pretty good as well. Although I do like the original Predator. I don't think it's bad by any means. Pretty consistent across the board. Like, we're considering like the Alien vs. Predator films, Paul W.S. Anderson. I don't think it's bad by any means. I think it's pretty decent, but nothing great. There are a couple of Predator films, like namely that one that came out a few years ago that was pretty awful. It's probably going okay, because I do think that there's some good highs there, but not to the extent of what I would want. So I think Predator is going to go in okay. Star Trek. Damn it! Okay. I don't know. I can't separate the two. I've read them all as that one. Just give me a break. Okay. Jack Ryan. I've seen one of the films. Nice. Maybe I've seen less than I thought, people. All I can do is say apologies. Meet the Fockers, Meet the Parents. I think these are pretty bad. De Niro, what are we doing? Like, not woeful maybe, but it's oh dear. It's oh dear. X-Men. Okay, so this says the trilogy specifically. Pretty good for the most part. Not lovely stuff, but I think that's a good okay. Yeah, I think that's okay. I think that's fair. Bridget Jones. You know what? Bridget Jones, the first one, low key, it's pretty good. But the rest of them, it's very much whatever. I think they're just there. I actually think it's the highest end of whatever, though, because I don't think there's they don't have the lows like The Purge does, which is saying something about The Purge. But yeah, Bridget Jones is there. Tomb Raider. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty woeful, like all of the films. Oh, it's a shame they can't be like the games. I grew up playing the Tomb Raider games. Shout out Lara Croft. But yeah, pretty woeful. Poltergeist. I mean, the first one's really good. I can't really say much out of the outside of that. Shout out Toby Hooper. Again, this is going to be another franchise that's kind of very much anchored by that kind of pivotal part being the first film, which I do think is great. Poltergeist. It's going to go in okay again. I know it kind of lovely stuff because the first one's really good. I won't hear any of it. It's like Jaws. Won't hear any of it. Shut up. Scream. Man, there are so many. Scream. Scream. Okay, Scream is Scream is like one of the most consistent franchises. I think it's one of the most consistent horror franchises specifically. I don't think there's a particularly bad film, although I don't think there's an average one. The recent kind of reboots have both been good, in my opinion. Nothing special or revolutionary, but good. The original one's great. I think Scream is like a solidified great franchise, in my opinion. Probably about there. About there, in great. I think that's fair. No S's as of yet, people. No S's. Jumanji. Who cares? Oh dear. Sorry. Madagascar. What happened? What happened to the Madagascar ones? Because the first one, it's like, it's pretty funny. There's stuff there. There's fun to be had. Then after, it's like, what are we doing? Highest end of whatever. Shout out the first one. Star Trek. Okay, I'm sorry. I've ranted on one. Here we go, fellas. Cornetto Trilogy. The pinnacle of English comedy. But I think, like, as a dramatization, I think they offer so much. I think they're full of cultural reference. I think they're funny. I think they're witty. I think they're clever. Yeah. Sorry. I think that, listen, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz are like two of my most watched films ever. I could watch them over and over again. I think they're truly masterworks in the comedy field. And The World's End, as much as people hate on it, and do I like it as much as the other two? No. But I think it was probably the most mature in terms of developing a character and kind of understanding life from a different angle. And they really understood that. When you've got a character like Gary King and the life he follows within it, I think World's End is still really good. It's S for me. I'm sorry, guys. Like, yeah. Fellas, listen. Hobbit. Okay, is it separated with Lord of the Rings, though? That's the question. Because if it is, that's kind of cheating, but I don't mind. Okay, it is. We're going to cheat a little bit, Cheater. The Hobbit. It should be Middle-earth, but we'll go with it. Now, I actually like An Unexpected Journey. The common criticism of The Hobbit is, and I have this criticism as well, I think it's a massive critique that is valid, is that they did stretch out, a 300-odd page book into 3 films. 3 2-hour, 30-plus films. And I think you can really feel that by the second one and third one. Even to the first to a certain extent, but I do think the first one's good. Desolation of Smaug, I think, is pretty okay as well. Good moments. The third one's where it really goes to nothing. And it should say as well, like, compared to like Lord of the Rings, I know it's hard to compare these things, but they are really ugly. They are really ugly films, and they look like studio works. But I'm not afraid to admit, I do like the first one. I really dislike Battle of the Five Armies, though. Top end of okay. Because I do like An Unexpected Journey a lot, a good amount. Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, very good. Spy, can I say that? I'll say no. Good also. Goldmember, less so, but some fun to be had. This is like the peak of spoof, I think. When you compare these to the likes of like Epic Movie, or any of those spoof movies, like Scary Movie, whatever. I think Austin Powers is there. I'm going to say Austin Powers is actually lovely stuff. Like, I really enjoy these, especially the first. I think the first one's great. I'm going to say it's lovely stuff. Probably just above. We'll go with there. Austin Powers. Lovely stuff. Nightmare on Elm Street. Here's an interesting one. Now, I actually haven't. There's like still 1 or 2 I haven't seen. In the grand scheme of things, I think they're pretty good. There's some letdowns, of course. But there's also some that are just terrific. Like the original, and then Dream Warriors is great. It's got to be lovely stuff, because there are some letdowns. It's not going to go great, but I think it's like, again, similar to like the Batman and the Muppets. I think it's like that end. Nightmare on Elm Street, I think it's pretty cool. Planet of the Apes. I mean, talk about highs, Talk about lows as well. Tim Burton's is abysmal. I think Dawn is okay. I think Battle is okay. Maybe less so. First one's amazing. First one's the peak. Planet of the Apes. Amazing. 1968. Beautiful. Just tremendous. Dawn. Oh no, Rise is the one I think is okay. Dawn is great. War, I think, is great too. There's a couple in the originals that are really good as well. Escape. Great. There's a lot of greats here. There's only like one really bad one, I think, and that's Tim Burton's. But outside of that, we're talking great. I think it's going to have to be going great. It's not like the top end, but I think it's right there, like amongst this lot. I actually could higher than Hannibal Lecter, probably lower than Alien, because I don't think it quite has the same echelon of heights, but it's there. I think Planet of the Apes is great. I think Planet of the Apes is great. What is that? No idea. Here we go. Controversial. The MCU. Now, I need to check if that is the MCU. Because they do be separating things. It's not the MCU. That's Thor. Okay, so that's the Avengers films. Got it. Okay, the Avengers films. I like the first one. I don't like Age of Ultron. I never have. I like Infinity War, and I think Endgame's okay. So it's pretty solid overall. But there's no real heights for me. Like, probably the top end of okay. And again, yeah, like it's around that kind of hobby. Because I do like Infinity War. I do like the first one. I think Endgame, like even I like it less so than most. Maybe it's okay. I think it's that. I think that's fine. Yeah. American Pie. Evil Dead. Okay, now we're talking, fellas. Now we're talking. I mean, Evil Dead 2 is a phenomenon. Evil Dead's great as well. Like Sam Raimi, what he did with that original trilogy and Arm of Darkness. But then I think to further that, the amount of consistency they've had, probably the best horror franchise of all time, in my opinion. With Evil Dead Rise, which do I think is great? Not necessarily, but I think it's good. I think Evil Dead 2013, Freddy Alvarez, was really good. So to have 5 films and it have a continuation, and they'll all be good, you know, if not great, I think outside of one of them, that says a lot. It's great. It's great. I think it's like there as well, like high. It's great. Transformers. Okay. Well, I recently watched the Transformers films for the first time. Well, I'd seen the first one, but I recently watched like Dark of the Moon. Great film. Now, there are some lows. I think the recent one was really bad. Not the Transformers 1, the Rise of the Beasts. I think Age of Extinction is meh. I think The Last Night, I don't think it's bad by any means, but I'm not high on it. I think there's only one bad one. Bumblebee I just thought was okay. That's an interesting one, isn't it, fellas? Dark of the Moon's great. Fallen Kingdom I think is good, and the first one's great. Transformers. Top end of lovely stuff, in my opinion. Or around there. Around this region. I do like Transformers a lot. Back to the Future. 1's great. 2's great. 3 is good, but less so. But I think as a trilogy, yeah. Back to the Future. Can't hide from it. It's great stuff. It's great stuff, as expected. Hotel Transylvania. Weirdly, they're actually okay, but I'm going to put it in whatever because I've never thought about these films again. Top end, we'll say. Bourne, the Bourne films. Haven't seen them in years. Got to put them in lovely stuff because I did used to enjoy them, but I haven't seen them in years, so we'll say that. Below, like lowest end of lovely stuff, I think. Bring It On. What is that? Captain America. Okay, here's an interesting conversation. Captain America films. Now, I don't like the first Avenger at all. In fact, I hate it. I always have. But I think Winter Soldier's really good. I think Winter Soldier's one of the better MCU films. I think Civil War's okay. Here's a tricky one. Because I do think that Winter Soldier's like so far and away the best of the three. But like by a margin that's quite big. Top end of okay, I think. No, bottom lovely stuff because I think Winter Soldier's really good. I think that's only fair. Chucky films, I'm like, I just never got on with the Chucky films. It's going to go in, oh dear. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, sorry to do this to everyone, but it's going to be whatever. There's lows and there's highs. No, actually, after the recent, okay. We'll go Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, okay. That's fair. Don't know what that is. Despicable Me, including the Minions. I think, do you know what? The first Despicable Me is actually good. Like, it's actually good. We're talking, it's actually good. But, tricky. Top of okay. Yeah, we'll go that. There's some good films. Die Hard. It's a shame they continue this because the first three, I mean, like, the second one's arguably the best in my opinion. Or the third one. Die Hard with a Vengeance, whichever one that is. Second one's good. First one's good, of course. Great. 4 and 5, I hate it. So it's again another one of those things where it's like it's a franchise that should have been a trilogy, which is a common thing we seem to get. Die Hard. It's lovely stuff because I think there's really high points and it's the highest end of that, but I think the lows are really low. Can it be that? Jaws feels so weird. I don't know, man. Like, yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. Divergent, they're just there for me. Oh dear, whatever. Actually lower because I don't like them. Dr. Dolittle, I think they're kind of just there. Oh dear. Ooh, M. Night. The Split, Glass, and Unbreakable's trilogy. Now, Unbreakable is one of my favourite films ever. I think it's the true, just one of the very few masterpieces in the superhero genre. A story on fragility and power and balancing it and mastering it and being a parent. I think it's a masterpiece. Split, I also think it's great, and Glass, I always think it's great. Glass may be more of a mess, but I think it's great. It's tricky. That's really tricky. It's only going great for me. I know I'll be a detriment to a lot of you. It's actually going to be around here. Around here. There's only 3 films, so again, it's hard to compare with something like Alien, where there's many, so there's more chance of it dropping off. But for me, it's great stuff. It's going to go great. Wow, that S is not building, is it? The Ring movies. Now, this is going to include like Ringu, like the original Ring, which I think is fantastic. Gore Verbinski's just okay, and the sequel that followed, not great. I think it has to go in like, again, the top end of okay. We're talking like Despicable Me and The Hobbit kind of region, we should say. Fast and Furious. I'm sorry, like they just don't. I really can't get on board with the Fast and Furious films, and that's not because I'm out on, silly, hyper masculine works like Transformers. But Fast and Furious I've never got on with. It's going to be an oh dear for me. Like I really just don't care about them. The Grudge, there's lows, but there's highs. The first one's good. We'll go an okay for The Grudge, I think. Ghostbusters. There's some. I kind of hated the recent ones, to be honest. The first one's good, but even then, I don't love as much as most people. It's gonna be like whatever. I'm sorry, like Ghostbusters just doesn't really do it for me. Wait, now I've already ranked the Godzilla films. So that's how now. Harry Potter, fellas. Harry Potter. Now, are the Fantastic Beasts on there as well? Because that changes things. It does change things. They're not. Oh, they are, but I can't see them. Fellas. They're not on there. Okay. Harry Potter. Now, I'm going to discount Fantastic Beasts because that's what it is. They're not there. Oh, shit. Kind of have to. No. I think if we're just considering Harry Potter, it's like the most consistent franchise. With, by the way, not even just consistency in the likes of Scream, but with these miraculous highs. Goblet of Fire. Prisoner of Azkaban. One of the greatest films ever, so I may argue. I would. It's going to go S for me. Like, I'm a Harry Potter guy, man. It's going to go S for me. There's films I don't love as much, like The Chamber of Secrets. But I still like them. And there's so many I love. I'm sorry, Harry Potter's going to go S. I'm sorry. But then again, I'm going to be so for real. I haven't seen the Fantastic Beasts movies, so I'm not even going to count them anyway. So, you know what? Get out of here. Hellboy, ups and downs, fellas. Like that Neil Marshall one, what are we doing? But then you consider the Guillermo del Toro ones, which should have been completed because 1 and 2 were great. It's going to go okay. I think Hellboy's like that perfect okay. How to Train Your Dragon. Man. With the live action one, which I just don't think I'm going to like because I think there's no purpose for it. It'll probably go down. But 1 and 2 are really good. And 3, even though I don't love as much, is still good. How to Train Your Dragon is good stuff. How to Train Your Dragon isn't good stuff. How to Train Your Dragon is lovely stuff. Let me hear it. Lovely stuff. Probably like there, How to Train Your Dragon. Cool films. I like them a lot. Hunger Games. Not big on them, to be honest. Especially those last 2 in the 4. The part 1, part 2. Catching Fire was cool. Yeah, the first one's cool. I think it's okay for me. I think it's okay. Like around kind of like probably above Insidious. Probably around like there. Yeah, okay, we'll take it. Iron Man. I don't like the Iron Man film. No, I do. I like the first Iron Man. I think the first Iron Man is, again... kind of one of the higher tiers of MCU, actually. As like an origin story of kind of his birth, as much of it's, I don't know. I really don't like Iron Man 2 and 3. But judging off the fact I like the first one, it's going to have to go in okay. Yeah. Probably would be kind of around the Insidious region, I think. A bit lower. Jackass, I've never been big on the Jackass films, so it's just going to go like whatever. I just don't think about them, you know? 007, if you're considering every film ever, there's lows, but there's also like a lot of highs as well. Now, there's some of them I haven't seen in a while, but I think in the grand scheme of things, the ones I really like, it's lovely stuff. But there's a lot of highs here in 007. It's lovely stuff. Of course it is. I already did the Bournes. Jurassic Park. Now this is similar to Jaws, but this is like Jurassic Park franchise is like a better version of Jaws. In that 2 was also good. Didn't really like Jurassic World. Didn't like anything new. Fallen Kingdom was it? I think I said that with Transformers, whatever they're called. The second Jurassic World one. But the first one is amazing. The second one I think is good as well. So I think that actually puts it higher than Jaws, because it's a better version of Jaws in like the high. I think the highest, like there, with like Die Hard. I think that's fair. With like Die Hard, yeah. There are some lows. Friday the 13th, I think, again, across the board, there's a lot of lows, but there's a lot of highs. It's okay. I think Friday the 13th is like okay, kind of around like the Hellboy region. Aladdin, I didn't really like the live action remake too much, but the original's good. Okay, like around Hunger Games. Lethal Weapon, like the perfect whatever, but okay. Like perfect dad films. Okay, that's fair. Lord of the Rings! Now, considering we ranked Hobbit separately, Lord of the Rings is S tier. Lord of the Rings is S tier. Listen. It is. It just is. Now, the thing with Lord of the Rings is, I think, regardless of I think it's the greatest trilogy and just cinematic achievements of maybe my lifetime, whatever, for that argument, I think it truly is a standstill of an S tier. And like, not only in terms of creating a successful adaptation and model from such famed literature and such renowned literature, books I also love, I think it just works on such a level. Like it's a blockbuster, it's personal, it's intimate, it's loud when it wants to be, it's quiet when it wants to be. Lord of the Rings is the highest tier, ladies and gents. I'm sure you'll all agree. I'm sure you will. We'll go next. Mad Max. That's an interesting one. Mad Max, the original Mad Max, I think, is like okay. 2, I think, is great. 3, again, kind of okay. Kind of just there. Fury Road of Furiosa. Furiosa being like, in my opinion, the best prequel ever made. That is if we discount games. Red Dead Redemption 2. But I think Mad Max is like, for me, it's nearing S tier. If it wasn't for like the first and third, I think it's just okay. The heights are so high. I think it's the highest end of great for me. Like, we're talking that kind of level. We're talking that level. Yeah, we are. Maze Runner, very much like, oh dear, never really got on Maze Runners. Scooby-Doo. 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 It's the live action Scooby-Doo's. Okay. Monsters Unleashed is great. First one's great. The other ones are like, what are we doing? But those James Gunn written ones are so much fun. So it's going to go in lovely stuff because I love those first ones. But that's like the lowest end of lovely stuff. Scooby-Doo, lowest end of lovely stuff. Lowest end. Godfather, it's an interesting one. Now, contrary to popular opinion, I actually like 3. I think as a standalone film, 3 is very serviceable. And not needed in a sense, but I can understand the vision behind making 3. But it is a drop-off. But the quality of the first 2 one does not simply ignore the quality of the first 2, especially the first one, in my opinion. So I think The Godfather is, for me, just off those first 2 alone. And the fact that 3 is good, it might have to be S, you know. No, because 3 is a letdown. But it's the highest end of great. Harold and Kumar I actually like a couple of them. It's going to be okay, because they're there. It's fine. Yeah, Scary Movie, I'm not an enjoyer of, unfortunately. I think the first one's like fine, but I'm not an enjoyer of Scary Movie. It's going to be in the oh dear category. I'm not an enjoyer of those spoof movies. Paranormal Activity, I don't like any of them. I'm going to be so for real. I think the Paranormal Activity is a technical achievement. They're so impressive, but as a concept, not for me at all. What have we got? King Kong. Now, I'm going to say this includes all the King Kong films, including the original, which I think is fantastic, and Peter Jackson's, by the way, which the poster is of, which I think is also great and kind of a triumph in special effects and modern-day blockbuster filmmaking. Perhaps too long, but really emotional and really intimate. It's going to be great if we're considering all... there's some dud King Kong films, aren't there? It's lovely stuff. It's the highest end of lovely stuff, because there are crazy heights, like Jurassic Park and Die Hard, of like Free Willy... whatever. Oh dear. Ice Age, tough one. I like the first Ice Age. I'm sure a lot of you would agree. You know, Ice Age is cool. The first one, and the second was okay. But they made so many of them. They made so many damn Ice Age films. Whatever. Highest end. You're meeting your fellow neighbour in Madagascar. Wonders, what are they? Bad Boys. I've actually only seen the first two. I know, shameful. And I think the first two are amazing. So it's going great. But like, yeah. I love the first two Bad Boys films. I think like Bad Boys 2 is like honestly like the modern day Michael Bay masterpiece in my opinion. Great, amazing. What we got else? I don't know what that is. Beverly Hills Cop. Drop off after the first, but still okay. You know, I think Eddie Murphy, that's kind of his era. A very good role for him. Okay. Resident Evil. Now, I like the first one and the second one. I haven't seen the others. I'm going to have to put it in haven't seen, but I think Paul W.S. Anderson's one is pretty good. And I do want to watch them. I was speaking about it the other day. Death Wish, yeah. I haven't seen him in years. I'm going to have to go haven't seen. Expendables, simply what I hate the Expendables films. I'm sorry. Again, I'm not opposed to hyper-masculine, sleazy works like Transformers. Like I said about Fast and Furious, but yeah, I just think Expendables don't do it for me. Blair Witch Project. Now, here's a controversial one. I don't like the first Blair Witch Project at all. Neither do I like, Blair Witch, that remake that followed, and the other ones. Yeah, I'm actually probably an OD. Like, I really, really have never had a good time with Blair Witch Project. Sorry. Addams Family. Okay. Addams Family is okay. Step Up. I think the first three steps are pretty good, especially 2, which I did actually really like as a kid. But like, they do kind of drop off after that. I think they're okay. I think they're actually higher than whatever. I think they're okay. Like the lowest end are okay. You know. Naked Gun again. I'm gonna say okay. Whatever, highest end. I think for me, the first one's good, but kind of put it down for after that. Shrek. I think Shrek 1 and 2 are that great. 3 and 4. You know what? Right. I know people hate 3 and 4, especially 3. I actually think 3 and 4 are still okay. I can still have a decent time. They're serviceable. But they are a step down. Like, they are a big, big step down. But just for 1 and 2, highest end of lovely stuff for me, Shrek, I think. I'm going to consider this to be all Star Wars, because I want to rank Star Wars all together. And I'm going to tell you a hot take right now. I don't think there has been a single bad Star Wars film, apart from one. And that being Rise of Skywalker, which is woeful and destroyed everything they tried to do in the Disney films and just reversed and was like, oh, you're angry at me, let's just revert back. Shut up. Terrible film. All you've got, I love the prequels. I really like Last Jedi. I like Force Awakens. I like Return of the Jedi. I love New Hope. I love Empire Strikes Back. I'm a Star Wars guy. Apart from Rise of Skywalker. It's not lovely stuff. I know people think there's downs. It's the highest end of grade for me. If there was a height of like a Harry Potter, like a Prisoner of Azkaban, I would consider putting it in S. I really would. But there isn't. Just about for me. Don't know what that is. Die of the Wimpy Kid. For the most part. No, oh dear. Because the first one was okay. The Oceans films. The first one's really good. Second one I like as well. I think Oceans films are lovely stuff. Yeah, I have a good time with them. Good heights. Good heights. Crocodile Dundee. Who cares? Final Destination, I'm like simply just a bit whatever on. They're just there. I do like the first one though. Night at the Museum, Sean Levy, What Have You Done to Cinema? First one is actually good though. I think the first one's okay. As like a standalone family film, there's a lot to offer. I used to watch it a lot as a kid, but apart from that, yeah. But because of the first one, it's got like a decent height. It's gonna go in whatever. The Olympus movies are not for me. Whatever. Don't know what this is. Narnia is. I used to love Narnia as a kid, especially the first one. That I rewatched it. I'm like, I don't like these films. I just don't like them. No, I think the first one's still okay. It's whatever. It's not quite to that level. Pirates of the Caribbean, here's an interesting one. Now, the first 3 Gore Verbinski films are terrific, especially 1 and 2. And World's End is great as well. But 4 and 5, when they got rid of the juice master, Gore Verbinski, and they continued on without him, we hit a real down point in not just Pirates of the Caribbean, but franchise history. But for the first 2, because I think the last 2 are like to the level of like just truly abysmal works, especially for how much they cost. And it's gonna have to go in grey. I can't because the first 2 are so strong. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. First 3, sorry, are so strong. There's loads in all of these. Like you got like Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. You've got like. It's tough. I'm put it like here, just for Planet of the Apes. I think the first 3 are so good, but it really does drop off. Police Academy. Whatever. No, I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him in too long. We'll go. I haven't seen Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones. Now, interesting. The first Indiana Jones is great. I don't like Temple of Doom. I know it's tough. I've never been a big fan of Temple of Doom. Last Crusade might be the best of the original 3 for me. Here's an interesting fact. I really like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. As like a B-movie spin-off, like classic back to the golden era and age of Hollywood. I think it's really good. Indiana Jones. It's going to have to go in great because the highs are really high. But I think it's the lowest end of grade because I didn't like Dial of Destiny at all either. So I think it's around there. Yeah, Dial of Destiny I didn't like. Rambo, there's too many lows. Even though I do like the first one, it's just okay. Like the lows are really bad. Oh my god, this is every Spider-Man film? Fuck, that is tough. Oh, this is every Spider-Man film? That is tough. Every Spider-Man film. Okay. The original 3, like we know, Sam Raimi's 3, I love. They're one of my favorite trilogies ever, including 3. I think it's incredible. I think the first 2 are masterpieces, and 3 is almost near the like. Amazing Spider-Man 1, don't like. Amazing Spider-Man 2, don't like. Homecoming, don't like. Far From Home, think is okay, and No Way Home, actually, kind of like. But then, like, are we counting Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse, which are great? What are we doing here? This is so tough to do as one. That's going great because the highs are so high. Like, man, that is like, but the lows are, but like, Into Spider-Verse, Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man 2, Cross Spider. I know. I'm getting upset. The lows are so low, though. They're not that low. I'm arguing myself. But it's better than Star Wars. The heights are higher than Star Wars. What do I do? Do you know what? My love for Spider-Man 1, 2, 3, Into Spider-Verse, Cross Spider will reign supreme. And if you've got a problem with that, comment below. Let me know what you think. Get you. Star Wars already done. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Man. First one I think is a truly genre-defining piece of cinema. One of the true great horror films ever. A masterpiece through and through. Second one is good as well. I think there's a few good ones in there as well, but there are some low points. But for the first and second alone, it has to be in great for me. It has to be in great. Probably around kind of the Evil Dead. Less than Evil Dead, actually. No, less chill. Around like here. Like probably just below Silence of the Lambs. Oh, sorry, Hannibal Lecter. Wolverine. Whatever. First one's pretty good. Okay. We'll go okay for Wolverine. Thor movies. The Thor movies. It's a tough one. I think Thor Love and Thunder is horrific and one of the lowest tier MCU films. I think Thor The Dark World is horrific and one of the lowest tier MCU films. I think Thor 1's pretty horrific and one of the lowest tier MCU. Thor Ragnarok somehow works for me. I think Taika Waititi like weirdly managed the balance in that. So it's probably not looking. But then again, the other ones, it's so bad. There's only one star. It's going to go in okay. Whatever. It's going to go in whatever. Probably like there. Toy Story. You know, Toy Story 4, like it or not, I know they're making another one, but Toy Story 4 is good. Like, I actually like Toy Story 4. Was it a step down from the first 3? Yes, absolutely, because the first 3 are great, but it's still there. I think Toy Story 4, like, I wish they'd have kept it, that trilogy, because that trilogy would have been tremendous on its own and would have been seen as one of the greatest trilogies of all time. In fact, still is, even though, let me just tell you something, it's not a trilogy, so stop counting it as one. But even so, it's great. Toy Story films are great. Like, they really, really are. And there's no low point. Like, there's a low point in a sense of the Toy Story 4 isn't as good. But also, like, yeah, they're all good, man. It's going to be high. They're all good films. Like, first three are great. I put it like here. Yeah, I like that. Great. Twilight, not for me. First one's okay though. Dirty Harry. Highest end of okay. Highest end of okay. Underworld, I think the oh dear for the most part. Mission Impossible. Okay, here's an interesting one. Even the second one, which a lot of people don't like, I still think it's like okay for the most part. John Woo's. First one's great, Brian De Palma's. Third one's okay. Very okay. Maybe the worst one for me. Fourth's good. Five's really good. Six is really good. I mean, the last Dead Reckoning was just okay. Dead Reckoning was good. But Fallout and Rogue Nation are terrific films. It's going to have to go in great. Because again, we're talking consistency. Mission Impossible's right there. You know, it is. Home Alone. It's a tricky one for me because I love Home Alone 2 and 1. But after that, it's like, what are we doing at this stage? Why have we continued this without the main men at the helm? It's going to go in Lovely Stuff, purely for verse 2. But it could be argued as higher. Where does it go in Lovely Stuff? Probably like there. Around like Jurassic Park. Star Wars ranked. Santa Claus haven't seen. That's Fast and Furious again. Terminator. Here's an interesting one. Terminator 1 and 2 are great. Like, Terminator 2 is tremendous. I think Jim Cameron's best achievement. The recent few, not great. But, like, for the first two alone, you kind of have to go great. Like, similar to The Matrix, considering it's got, like, one of the best of all time in its respective genre. Yeah, it's, like, around... But it's got lower lows than The Matrix, of course. But I think it's around, like, Pirates of the Caribbean. Maybe a bit less. We're on to the final couple. Ring, I've already done. And we're finishing with The Conjuring. Conjuring 1 is great. Conjuring 2 is good. Definitely had a bit of a fall-off after that, especially with the Hannibal films. But I think 1 and 2 is really good. So I'm going to go Lovely Stuff. And there we have it, folks. We are an hour into this tier list. So if you have enjoyed, please feel free to drop a like and a comment. And let me know where I went wrong. I'm sure all of you will. But I appreciate all the support. This is what the tier list is looking like. We only had 4 in S. Quite a few in great. Pretty positive overall, I would say. Not many in like the woeful or oh dear. A few in haven't seen, probably more than I thought. But be sure to let me know what you would change. Let me know where I was right. Let me know where I was wrong. And with that, I'll see you next time.